A little girl by the name of Ginny Mooney, who was just 10 years old, experienced her first funeral, and it happened to be for her Uncle Al. In days prior to his death, Uncle Al went in for a simple procedure. Well, I say simple, but he was actually having open heart surgery. Doctors didn't expect any complications, but unfortunately, he did pass away while on the operating table, and it was quite a shock to the family. Ginny's Aunt Evie, who was Al's wife, obviously was just devastated and blown away by the news. And actually, her and Uncle Al had only had 5 years of marriage, as they had met later in life and married at the age of 50. So she felt like their lives together had kind of just gotten started. And so even more of a big blow to Aunt Evie. On the day of the funeral, the family tried to console Aunt Evie because she was so terribly upset that she was just uncontrollably crying in the parking lot. And she didn't even want to go in for the service. But that's when Ginny's dad stepped in and he thought maybe he could help. He decided to have a little chat with Evie, giving her comfort, and that's when Evie said something changed. She felt a wave of peace come over her as Ginny's father spoke to her and gave her that comfort. And she said that it was like God just gave her a peace and it calmed her crying. It calmed all that just upsettingness just so that she could go into the service that day. Well, a week goes by after the funeral, and Ginny's coming home from school. She goes into the house, and she can see that her mother is very visibly upset. Apparently, her father had a checkup that morning, and when he went into the doctor, Ginny's mother explained to her that the doctor actually found a heart blockage. Now, while Ginny was just 10, she didn't understand it all in depth. But despite that, just thoughts raced through her mind. Her mom was telling her that this blockage was supposedly quite big. Her father would need an operation to help it. But before that could be done, he would need another test called a heart catheterization. Well, panic and just all sorts of thoughts started to go through 10-year-old Ginny's mind. And she asked her mom, "Mom, is this what Uncle Al just had?" She was terrified that her own dad could quite possibly die just like her Uncle Al did a week prior. Thoughts such as, how could this be happening to her family, started to go through her mind. How could God allow such a thing? But Ginny knew exactly what to do. She went straight to her room. She dropped to her knees and she began talking with God. Ginny asked God if he could just please spare her father, not to take him, because her and her family still needed him. And then she asked God if he could heal her father. Every day that went by, Ginny would do the same thing, like clockwork. She'd go to her room, drop to her knees, chat with God, and ask God to heal her dad. The day of the cath test finally arrived, and Ginny was a little nervous to go off to school, but her mother assured her that it's all right. You go to school, take your tests, and I'll see you this afternoon. Well, all that day while she's at school, Ginny just prays. She's at lunch. She's praying. She's at recess. She's praying. During each class she was praying. And she remembers having thoughts that day like, gosh, will God answer my prayers? How will he answer my prayers? But nonetheless, she didn't stop praying. After school, Ginny runs straight into the house where she sees her mother. And her mother just has this big, warm smile on her face. And her mom tells her, Ginny, quote, "You'll never believe what happened. The doctors went in with the catheter and they couldn't find the blockage. It was just gone." She told Ginny that all of the medical staff were quite shocked and amazed because they didn't know how this could be. Long story short, everything ended up being fine. That big blockage was gone and there was nothing else to do. Dad did not need that operation. Ginny remembers just hugging and chatting with her mom that afternoon. They were so grateful. And after talking with her mom, she goes straight back to her room, drops to her knees, and she has a chat with God. But this time, she was thanking him for healing her dad, for sparing him, and answering her prayers. This whole story happened over 35 years ago. And Ginny says, throughout her life that God, sometimes he'd answer in ways she didn't expect. Or maybe, had a different answer from what she had prayed for. Sometimes it was a no. It wasn't always a yes. Other times it was a not yet or not now. And in the story, Ginny says that as she grew, she was told that during those moments of waiting, that God teaches you patience. That she was told that he not only teaches you patience, but also trust. God did, though, answer a 10-year-old Ginny's prayer, and that was a yes when he healed her father. And I agree with that advice Ginny said that people would give her as she grew. In those hard times of waiting for an answer, because it's not always immediate, sometimes it is, it can be difficult, but I have to say in my own life, I did learn more patience. I did learn a deeper trust with God as I waited for healing from my MS for gosh, it was over 3 years. But there'd be times God would say, not yet. And I know I've brought that out before, I think in a couple of videos, but this story did remind me of that. And it's so true. You do learn that trust and that patience. It's just cool. It's just cool. And also with the waiting, it's just taught me what's the word? It taught me just the importance of God's timing because it is perfect. When we think we know best, like, no, this is going to happen, I need this done now, our ways are not God's ways. And I can look back now and see, oh, yeah, that's probably why God didn't heal me 3 years prior to when he said he would, that he would one day heal me. So there was times of growth in between while I waited. And I can see the importance of that now in my life, whereas then I was kind of like impatient, I guess you could say at times. But anyway, I hope this story blessed you guys. And I just want to say thanks for watching and thanks for being here. And I'm going to see you guys for the next one.